So welcome to the call, guys, and thank you so much for making it on. I know we're probably a little bit thin on the ground with these new next wave of regulations coming in. But I thought today we would just cover off really how to kind of construct initial parts of conversation, mainly because, you know, to me, it's really obvious. I've obviously been a coach for 2.5 years. I've got a kind of way of constructing my conversation, starting new connections and everything else that really works for me. And I'm not saying that you guys need to replicate what I'm doing. And I would certainly say, this is what I shared in actually the National Wake Up Call post earlier. You've got to find your own way with this, right? What works for me might not necessarily work for you, but certainly as a newer coach, I definitely got an indication, understanding of how my coaches or coaches that I could look up to were constructing their conversations, building connections, building their invites. And really it's a case of using that kind of framework and then sounding out what works for you. And honestly, I think the biggest tip I can give you all is that there is never going to be a point in this business where you reach the point and you're like, I've got the process, it works perfectly. Because obviously in any business, whether you work in corporate or whether you're an entrepreneur and you're self-employed, you have got to consistently and constantly be looking to level yourself up, to improve, to change, to grow. And of course, as social media changes, which inevitably it's changing all the time at the moment, Reels is an example of that, right? I'm learning to navigate that. I'm seeing that there's so much more engagement on people that post Reels. So we're all experiencing new things together. So I won't necessarily always have the answer per se, but I definitely wanted to just share, like, this is how I kind of start the funnel. These are the kinds of conversations I have, and this is how I lead it, so that you guys can really take that information and hopefully it's going to give you a bit more confidence, so that when you sit down to your power hours, however that looks for you, you're not sitting there going, okay, cool, but how do I I don't know, we don't want that, right? We want your power hours to be productive. We want you to have a process that you can put into practice, whether or not you feel slightly nervous about it, because quite frankly, it's kind of, you grow and you build, you get more confident. And as you start out, it's harder, that's for sure. So noteworthy items to start with. I covered this off last week, but Beachbody Challenge packs, which I'm absolutely so over the moon about, now include Ultimate Portion Fix and To Be Mindset. So that is just the digital, guys. They're not going to get all of the books. And I think it's really important for us to know that, because I certainly have enrolled coaches and they're like, I don't have any of these Ultimate Portion Fix books that some of your coaches have. Like, why not? And then I was busy trying to figure out why, but actually they're not meant to get the books. Okay. So if they want books for those programs, then they're going to need to pay those, I don't think it's a great deal of money, but additional little amount to get the paper copies, but they will get the containers for Ultimate Portion Fix fundamentally. And of course, they'll get all of the digital access. So that will include the monthly membership. That does roll on if they don't cancel it. The way that I kind of chat around that topic is I just basically say, if you want to continue with anything, you continue. And if you want to cancel, then there's no obligation. You aren't locked in. And I think it's important, guys, to know that with anything with Beachbody, they aren't locked into any of the monthly fees, even the business fee, right? You can cancel being a coach if you so desire, okay? The other thing, a 30-day breakaway, is kind of very much on the agenda now. I'm going to go into that in a second. So all challenge packs that are purchased in September will get 50% off the 30-day breakaway cost in October, as and when that launches. So the coach exclusive window for 30-day breakaway, which is that running program that's launching, is October the 5th. And the sample workout is actually going to be released tomorrow. Now, I want to be perfectly blunt and honest with you guys and say that as much as I love to hop on new launches, I don't think I'm going to be hopping on this one. And I don't want you guys to think that means you can't do it. I think it's really, really important that you guys, your own leaders, you go with programs that you connect with, that work for you, that excite you. And certainly I was even having a little chat on our Facebook group earlier with Laura, because she started 80-day obsession. She's finding that workouts are slightly too long. She enjoys it, but it's not really working for her. So she's going to switch to do something different. And I think whenever you look at doing a new program, whether it's a brand new program that you want to purchase the early access for, or whether it's something that's already on the platform, I would always get yourself to just get into the habit of looking at it. Does this look like me? Can I commit to the time? What's the construct of the workouts? Now, I haven't been able to see all of the construct of the workouts, because quite honestly that it's not out there yet. But what I have deduced from what I've heard from people in the test group is that there's quite a lot of runs. Now, that doesn't work for me. My husband is often in London. I'm there with Arthur. I drop him at school at 9. I'm not going to leave the house before I drop him at school and leave him in the house on his own. And I'm not going to do my workout in the middle of the day because, quite frankly, I hate that idea. I love my coach business to be operated in the middle of the day. It's my dog. I don't want to have to be working out in the middle of the day. So I'm not going to do it. But by all means, if you want to do it, go for it. Because I will always say, like, new programs are going to leverage your business, particularly if you're excited about them, particularly if we've got runners here, people who've done 10Ks or 5Ks. Get behind it. Don't not do it just because perhaps I'm not doing it or someone else isn't doing it. And I'm obviously going to run the groups as such. So the access to that is going to be available on BOD for March 22nd, so not for a long time. 30-day program, 6 workouts a week, 20 to 45 minutes a day. Now, honestly, like, I really like max 35 minutes on any day personally, but I wanted to make sure I shared it. So this is everybody going to Summit. I'm not going to go into all the details, but for those of you guys going for Success Starters, you will get your Summit ticket free if you are a Success Starter. So you hit Success Club 3 out of your first 6 months. Sorry, guys. What's the problem? I think my son must be tormenting my dog. Okay, so moving on. This is another book that I have been physically reading. As far as I'm aware, you can't get this as an Audible book. Now, something that Josh Coates teaches in our Push Elite group is that actually we should be physically listening and we should be physically reading, because there are 2 different ways that we learn, okay? And I have found actually that since I have been doing a little bit of audible listening of a book in the morning for 15 minutes and physically reading, I'll just tell you my routine with it. I read it just before I go to sleep, about 5 pages max, honestly, because I'm the kind of person that gets into bed and I'm like, bang, like just straight to sleep. I think it's all the exercise makes me tired, but that book is absolutely amazing. Quite a lot of the coaches in Run Wild Hustle and Shine have been reading it. It's a book that Mac told me about. And honestly, it's all about your kind of subconscious, like, lack of awareness of these habits that we have. We all have them, and they are lifelong habits that have been instilled in us from childhood. And it's really a book about the psychology, the philosophy, and really why it happens, how we can break them, how we can create new ones. And it's blowing my mind. So I wanted to share it. I think it's about 15 quid on Amazon. It's a great book. It's quite chunky. And it's one of those books, like, maybe it's not for everyone, but I literally pick it up and I love reading it. I have other personal development books I picked up, and I can tell you I do not love reading them. So it's really good. So Tracker Prize, we have Joe, Gail, Steph, Alice, Elaine, Haley, Laura, Becca, and Laura. And the winner this week is Laura Davies. I'm not sure whether she's actually on the call. I don't think she is, but well done. And for those of you guys that haven't been submitting your tracker, remember to do that every week. I will get on a one-on-one call with you now. I'm very much in a process at the moment where I'm thinking about grouping you guys together on your one-on-ones based on where you are in the business, just because my ability to be able to spread myself across everything, I'm going to be worn too thin. So I'm likely to be doing these in smaller groups, but I'm definitely going to continue to do them. But also, you should really be doing this. If you're serious about your business, you need to be doing the tracker every week. Otherwise, you're not going to push your business forward. It just won't happen. So moving on, Emeralds. So nothing's changed really, apart from here we officially have Liesl as a Emerald coach, Shania and Laura. Laura actually recruited another coach this week, so she's got 3 coaches. She's almost halfway to Diamond. Charlotte became a Ruby coach last week, which is amazing. And I think she's now 1 coach away from Diamond. Like, literally, she is so close. But it seems that, like, every week that she moves forward, one of her coaches goes inactive, then she's replacing some, but she's just like, she's so nearly there. It's so exciting. So here we go. With that being said, Charlotte is the closest. Donna, then Ginny, then Marty, then Tasha, then Joe. Joe's doing really well at building. We have our Diamond Push group, which is going quite well. And I know a lot of these guys pushing for Diamond have their sneak peek set up, and certainly my sneak peek this month, I think I've already enrolled 3 or 4 girls from that sneak peek. So I can tell you, if you're serious about building your business, you need to be hosting live events, whether or not that's a coach sneak peek, or whether or not you decide, hey, do you know what? I'm going to do a sneak peek into what a boot camp is. And I'm going to get everybody who I've spoken to about boot camp into my group, and I'm going to go live in there and tell them what a, essentially challenge pack is. What are they going to get in the groups? I would encourage you to do it and just rip that Band-Aid off, be your own leader, that's where you're going to start to really see yourself hitting Success Club over and over again, when you become your own boss and you don't wait for me to tell you how you should be doing that. Yeah, that was something that I was doing as a new leader pretty much from the start, getting on a plane to San Diego to do a sneak peek, an idea off my own back, you know. So like, be your own boss, come up with your own ideas, go with what resonates with you. So Diamond Retreat, I have eked out the date that you guys can qualify for this, so by the 30th of September, just because we have girls who are so close. And if you qualify by the 30th of September, you will have held Diamond for, I think, 4 weeks by the time we go on that retreat. And it will need to be max 6 of us, but I'm pretty certain that is still going to work amazingly. So I'm really excited for this. Success starters, so Joe in month 1, Gail in month 1, Becca in month 1, Shannon month 2, Zainab month 2, and Hayley month 2. So to be a success starter, you have to hit Success Club 3 out of your first 6 months. So, you know, really as a new coach for me, like hitting Success Club every month, it was just a non-negotiable. I was like a dog with a bone with it, because I wanted my summit ticket free. And now you guys get access to a test group if you hit Success Club the first 3 out of your first 6 months. So Success Club, here we go. Here's where we are so far in September, and obviously we're only on the 13th. So we've got, what have we got? We've got more than 2 weeks to go. Let's just get my calendar up. So we've got 1, 2. We've got 2.5 weeks still, and look at this. Like, this is amazing. The fact that we've got Ginny, Megan, Alice, SJ, Charlotte, Laura, Sarah, Laura, Gillian, Charlotte, Donna, and Anu in at Success Club 2. Because if you think about it, guys, all of you guys that are already here, all things being equal, if you continue at the same pace, you continue doing the same, and you convert in the same way, you're all going to hit Success Club, okay? So I really want you guys who are here to think about, can I double my action? Could I double the connections I'm building? Could I double the number of people I'm following? Because honestly, guys, if you double your action, you're going to double your outcome. That's the way this business works. So I really want for all of you guys that are here, not to rest on your laurels because you've got 2 Success Club points and it's the 13th of the month, because that's like the biggest error you can make, is to just accelerate, and just see what you can get away with. I love that quote. Jen Sincero says in her book, You're a Badass, I just want to see what I can get away with. And I always hold that mindset in my head. I'm like, I just want to see what I can get away with, right? It makes it more fun when you kind of put that sort of terminology on the business. Lisa is in at Success Club 4 and Tasha in at Success Club 4. Those 2 girls are both in my Diamond Push group. And I'm in Success Club 10. So Success Club incentive for September is bow and tea. So if you hit Success Club 10 or above, you're going to get £70 or $70 of bow and tea vouchers. I can honestly promise you that there is like workout gear for anyone there. Like the workout gear is amazing quality. I got a set the other weekend, and that's what Charlotte actually got with her Success Club 10 prize. And if you hit Success Club, you're going to get £25 or $25 of bow and tea vouchers. That will be enough to get yourselves at either shorts or top. So super cool. And those of you guys that hit Success Club in August, your jumpers, I'm waiting for the lady to post them back to me so I can post them to you. So I'm really excited for that. So before I come on to the topic, the other thing that I meant to put in there, and guys, please make a note of this, because this is really how we build our community. We really kind of get to know each other over and above like me doing a training. On Friday next week, we have our Hustle and Heart social hour. It is at 8 p.m. UK time, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. And honestly, we're not going to talk about business at all. We're going to have cocktails or whatever you like to drink. If you don't drink, that's totally cool. And we're just going to have a chat for an hour. So I really... Okay, Arthur, I'm leading a call at the moment. Can you go out, please? Yeah, thank you. So I really want you guys to put that in the diary, because of course with COVID at the moment, there's really no opportunity for us to physically get together, or certainly we can't now get together in groups of more than 6 of us. So I really want for you guys to get on that, because this business is built on community, right? It's built on setting goals. It's built on helping other people. But this business becomes so much more fun when we lean into that community. So kind of making sure that you're on that social hour is awesome. I'm probably going to run them max once a month, just in terms of looking at my own diary and what I can kind of book. But it's just an opportunity to, yeah, as I say, get to know each other. So definitely put that in the diary. So how do I start new conversations? So That certainly was a question I asked myself. I probably asked myself for quite a long time as a newer coach, right? Oh, I haven't got enough people to talk about. And I'm sure, to talk to rather, I'm sure there's many of you guys who are sitting here who often have that go through your mind. And I can promise you that if that is going through your mind still, you have to do something about it, okay? Because your business, success club, whatever your targets and goals are, is going to be built on just how many connections you make. The more connections you make, the more people you'll convert, the more people you'll help, the more you'll be able to see that actually, do you know what, this is a real viable business where I can build a residual income, okay? So the first point that I want to make before I go on to talking about conversations is how many people are you connecting with a day? i.e., how long are you spending connecting with people? That is a key part of the bat at the top. Build new connections, okay? And building new connections, just to go through what I do, I go to an Instagram page that's my kind of person. I find somebody, and sometimes that takes me like 5 or 10 minutes, I'll be honest, to find a page that I'm like, you know what, this is my kind of person. Because if we don't spend the time doing that, guys, guess what? We are not going to find our people. We're not going to find the quality people we're looking for. And then they're not going to connect with us because they're not our people. And then the invite and the whole conversation process just doesn't work. Okay. So you ensuring that even if you have to take 5 or 10 minutes before you start following people to find the right kind of account for you, like, is that your kind of person? I really want you guys next week to think about that when you're doing that. Don't just do it with like your eyes closed. Oh, that one will do, off we go. Because I can promise you that will make or break your business. That starting point of that funnel is so fundamental, okay? So maybe, it's a common interest of yours that's not to do with fitness. That would be ideal, right? Something that's not to do with fitness, something that's quite niche to you. I honestly don't have something that's quite niche to me. I'm not a very niche person. I like gin and tonic. I like fashion. I'm a mum. And I like fitness. Fitness is obviously a huge part of my life because I'm a PT as well. So I kind of build my connections that way, but I do take the time to find an account that I resonate with, okay? And then I go in and I like a few of their photos. I comment genuinely on one of them and I go into their follower list, okay? And I follow 50 people in that person's follower list. And then I will go into 10 of those accounts that I want to comment on and comment on 10 different accounts of those 50 that I've followed. And then I will come out and go into my main feed where you see all of the new posts coming up, and I will like 25. Okay. I will do more than that, obviously, day to day. But when I'm working in that block of building new connections, that is absolutely my process. I've just shared everything. Okay. The other thing that I really want you to think about, and it's something that possibly like nobody's covered, but it is really important. Look at the ratio of how many people you're following to how many people are following you. Okay. Because if you are following way more people than are following you, guess what? You're not that trusted. It looks like you're following more people than want to follow you back. And it looks as though your account's not that trustworthy. Okay. So really just make sure that either every day or once a week, you have a time where you go and you unfollow people. I go and unfollow people based on the least interacted with, which when you go into your follower list, it will tell you who the least interacted with accounts are. And I do unfollow 50 a day because I'm reaching the point where I'm going to start to max out my followers. And again, like, I don't want to be having like the people I follow is 50% less than the people following me. Ideally, you want to be following a third of the people that are following you. That's really ideally where I would be, but it's taking its time for me to sort that one out. Okay. So as I said, 20 minutes per day finding like accounts. You're commenting on their posts, you're liking their posts, but you're also watching their stories. So go in and watch them, their stories if they've got them. And obviously, like, people who have got stories are way more likely to be, if you're looking at a coach opportunity, they're more likely to be amenable to it because they're already kind of doing the story thing, right? So watch their stories. If you see something you like in the stories, maybe comment or, say something. And otherwise, if you don't do that, guys, I wouldn't be surprised if your business isn't going anywhere because you have no new people to start conversations with. You have no new people to invite. Therefore, you don't have a business. Okay. So making sure, even like yesterday, I had a really busy day. Like, we were going to see my family. It was our wedding anniversary meal. It's our wedding anniversary today. There's never a day that I miss this piece, because if I miss this piece, even if I miss one day of inviting, which is rare, but if I do, at least when I come down to inviting, I can go into my follower list and I'm like, oh, I've built some connections with people. They followed me back. Then I've got, a new kind of bucket of people that I can start conversations with. Okay. And the other thing that I just want to say before I go into this next part is up to 90% of people, possibly more, won't even reply to your initial message. So please, guys, if you're stopping sending messages or you're like, oh, I really don't feel like it because no one replies, you know, just remember that 90% of people won't reply. They just won't. And that's normal. It's not for them, or they haven't seen your message, and that's fine. Okay. That's nothing personal. So who do you start new conversations with? Do you like their vibe? That's the other thing. Like, don't just start a new conversation with anyone that's followed you back, or anyone that's watching your story, or anyone that's liking your stuff. If you go into their profile and they don't look like your kind of person, is that really somebody that you're likely to connect with further down the track and subsequently invite and actually subsequently want to have in one of your groups that you're running or have on your team as one of your coaches? That's the question you need to ask yourself. And again, if you're spending time messaging people who actually don't look like your kind of people, please just call yourself out on that now. Yes, it is a quantity game, it's about conversion, but it's also about quality. Are they your people? Okay, so these are the 3 buckets of people that you're going to start conversations with: your new followers, your new story watchers, and your new likers. Generally, I'll just move on to the next slide. The conversation starter. This is how every single new conversation needs to be, guys. It doesn't, and you don't have to follow my format at all, but you want to make sure that you've got a comment, you've got a compliment, and you've got a question, okay, in every single new message, because that is the best construct to open a normal human conversation. Okay, everyone loves a compliment. So I will often send like, hey, whatever they're, you know, called, I love your page, or I love the colors on your page, or I love the energy, I love your enthusiasm, whatever it might be. Thanks so much for liking my recent post, or following me, or watching my stories. Are you on a fitness journey too? Or if they're obviously not on a fitness journey and they've got a really cute kid, I might be like, oh, your kids are like, at the moment, like there's a lot of mums who've got kids going to school in their first year. So for me, I'm like, oh, how was your little one's first day? Like something like that for me, because I'm a mum who's just got a little boy who started school. So I'm immediately building a connection, and then I can get down the rabbit warren of talking about fitness. But what I really want you guys to think about is, are you starting conversations, and are you leading with a question that is about fitness, and are you getting a reply? Or, and this is the biggest problem I had, and this is again where I say like it's trial and error. Some coaches will lead and be like, oh, I love your, like, whatever the heck it is, you know, I don't know, something random, and then you get stuck in this conversation about like their dog or their cat, and I'm the kind of person that's quite a straight talker, right? So I'd end up in a conversation about someone's cat, and then I'm like, I don't really want to talk about the cat. I just want to ask them if they're interested in what I'm doing. Like, it's obvious I'm into fitness, and now I've led myself down this rabbit warren of talking about something completely off topic, and now I really don't know how to steer the conversation back again. That is not a good use of your time either, guys. Okay, so definitely like build conversations based on who you are. How would you build a conversation with someone new in the flesh? Really think about that. And are you building conversations in the way that you'd probably do that? So for me, you know, and again, this is another really important thing. How would you like somebody to start a conversation with you on Instagram? Would you like them to like start some fluffy topic conversation and then invite you? Would you find that really annoying? Because I would find that so annoying. I literally can't think of anything I'd least rather have than someone trying to talk to me about my dog and then ask me if I want to try, I don't know, one of their hair products or something. I'd be like, why didn't you just ask me how my hair is? And so I start my conversations by comment, compliment, like, are you on a fitness journey too? Or how long have you been on your fitness journey? I don't want them to have a weird conversation with me about something non-related to fitness for me to then go, hey, I've started this new virtual gym. Do you want to join me? It just doesn't, I just don't like it personally, but it doesn't mean it doesn't work. Some of you guys are probably really good at like, you know, eking that conversation out and all of the rest of it. So just think about that. But the reason why I talk about fitness is that then we're warming them up, right? They know we're going to talk to them about fitness. They're warm. They're open to the idea because they've replied and you've been having a conversation. Then you invite them to either your coach sneak peek about being a wellness coach, or you're going to invite them to your virtual gym, whatever you've called it. And again, if you've taken ownership of your virtual gym and you've called it something that's not a virtual gym, that's something really personal to you, again, they're going to feel that energy. They're going to feel your excitement. They're going to feel that you have ownership of it. If you're just randomly inviting them to a boot camp that you've not really connected with, that you don't really know what you're going to call, and you're not really that excited about, guess what? You're not going to get a reply on your invite. So invite scripts, I'm not going to go into today, like the exact scripts, because I've done them on other calls, but the team page under the file section, there is an invite section. And if you guys want to message me now or after the call to ask me for my like up-to-date invite of what I'm sending, by all means do, and I will definitely send it back to you, but I'm not going to go in it because it takes me ages to type it all out, quite frankly. So what I do, and again, some of you guys have heard this before, but I think it's really important to revisit it, and it makes it so easy, particularly for you guys who are working full-time, who are mums perhaps working full-time, and you're working your business in tiny pockets of time. I've been there. I know exactly how that is. And when you're sitting down to work your business, you need to be super efficient. Otherwise, you're just going to go, do you know what, Izzy, this just doesn't work for me. I don't have the time to do it. You do, but you need to have an organized construct as to how you're going to execute those business hours when you sit down and do them. Okay. So what I do, you know, I've had Arthur only in school until 1:30 every day this week. And you know, my business is significantly larger than a lot of your guys. So you can imagine, like, me trying to manage that hasn't been the easiest, but I've managed, and I've done okay, actually, all things considered. And I've done okay because I'm really organized. Okay. So every single day I'm just going to share. On the left-hand side of my notepad, I put the date. I write down, that's where I put my gratitude, my vision, my goals, my affirmations. Every morning I write those out. And on the other side of the paper, I put the date and I put follows, and then I put follow-ups, okay? So the follows on the left-hand side is essentially follows, story watchers, and hey girls, i.e. people who have engaged with my post or story or followed me for the first time, okay? And what I'm doing is I will gauge it, right? Either I'm going in and I'm starting a new conversation with them, or I'm looking at their page and I'm just engaging in their story, or I'm liking their stuff to start with, but I've written their Instagram name down in my notepad so that the next day I can go in and I can look back and be like, ah, they're the people that I want to invite eventually, okay? And they're in a list, so I'm not like trying to go through all of my Instagram to figure out where my invite, like I can't even imagine how long that would take me to get that list together. I'm then forming a list of people that I'm subsequently going to invite, which makes it very easy if I'm short on time, you know, whether or not they've replied, as I've just put here, 2 to 3 days after I've sent them an initial message, I will invite them. Okay. I'll be engaging on their stuff and I will invite them. And often they do reply. They don't reply to the initial message, but they'll reply to the invite. So the other thing that I really, really want you guys to like call yourself out on right now, because I've seen it on some of your guys' pages, and I'm going to name no names, but it does, like, it bothers me because I don't want you guys to be putting all this in and then wondering, why isn't this working? Is it clear on your social media, in your stories, in your posts, not in every single post, but is it clear from what you're doing on the foreground, i.e. on your grid and in your stories, that you are about to start a boot camp, if indeed that's what you're inviting people to? Is it clear on your stories that you're a coach and you're part of a coach team, if indeed you're inviting them to a coach sneak peek, okay? Because if it's not clear and you don't have your own branding and marketing visuals created, which quite frankly will take you about 10 to 15 minutes in Canva, and then you're inviting and you're like, oh, I'm just having no joy, no one's replying. That's why they're not replying. Like, they're like, what is this girl about? She's inviting me to something. I can't see anything about it in her stories. I can see her doing a workout and having some superfood, but I've got no idea what this bootcamp is. You are wasting your time. And I want to be honest, because I don't want anyone to be doing that. Like, I've definitely been that girl that's done that, and I never got called out on it. It just took me ages to realize that actually, do you know what, that whole process has to click through. So make sure, and I do this every day, like if I'm going in to do my invites, before I do it, I'm like, in my stories, have I got a call to action? Have I been talking about it? Because if I haven't, I don't want to waste one single invite on someone if it's not clear from my stories that there's something going on. Otherwise, that's an invite completely wasted that I should have waited for a day when it was clear in my stories what I was calling to action. So just make sure, guys, it's like you're doing a 1 + 1 = 2. Like, have you got those? Have you got that construct? And if not, don't invite until you have in your stories or grid in some capacity. The next thing is that if these people are applying, so even if on my initial message now, if I've sent an initial message and I get a reply and I start a conversation, they immediately go into my tracking system, because I don't want to risk losing them on paper, right? That one person could be my next top coach. That is a huge part of my business potentially. And I'm not just going to like risk it on a wing and a prayer that they're just a little scrappy name in my notebook. They're going to go into my tracking system, because this is a business. This is a real serious business. And I'm going to make sure that I have put their name in my tracking system. So again, I know we've got some newer coaches here, but if you're still tracking on pen and paper and you've been a coach for longer than a month and you're doing your tracker every single week, please promise me. And again, if you want my tracking team call sent to you, let me know, because it's in my YouTube team calls. In fact, I think you can find it if you go into my YouTube. You need to set up a tracking system. You do not have a business until you have a tracking system, okay? And I always like to, like, some of you guys have heard me say this before, but if you were to go into an office and your job was to contact new prospects and you were asked to reach out to them, would your boss be happy if you're tracking it on pen and paper? So we do it for someone else, but we won't do it for ourselves, right? And I know, like, that's weird, but remember, this is your business and you better boss up and treat it as your own business if you want it to be what a lot of you have told me you want it to be. Yeah. So took me way too long to set up a tracking system. And as soon as I did, I really started to see much more consistency in my business. Okay. So that's the other thing. If you're really time poor, again, and you've got a tracking system that's online on your computer, you better bet that you're not going to check your Instagram messages until you're sitting down in front of your tracking system. So that's me. Like, if I'm out and about, I'm not ad hoc replying to people. Absolutely not. I'm not going to risk losing somebody on Instagram because I've ad hoc replied to them. I'm going to sit down in the time block that I've made. Maybe it's even 10 minutes just to reply to messages that have been replied to throughout the day, so that I can make sure that in that 10-minute block that I'm in front of my computer, damn, I've got that girl tracked. I've got that girl tracked. I've got that girl tracked. Okay. And that's going to make you far more efficient. You won't feel like a rabbit in the headlights, because actually, do you know what? Those kind of things take you about 10 minutes. If it's a no, it's not right now. So again, if somebody said no, but you've had a reply, they go in my tracking system. So I've just seen loads of comments here. So let me just check this. Oh, that's really interesting, Joe. It'd be interesting to know about it. I use HubSpot software. It's free and really easy and imports any emails you send to client plus sets your reminders. Yeah, I'd like, maybe we can have a chat about that afterwards, because I haven't heard of that one. That'd be good for the guys to look at. I use Streak. Took me a long time to use it. I love it now. But yeah, I'll ask Joe at the end. So yes, this is the other thing, guys. Again, like, and these are conversations we'll have, right? If it's a no, oh, they've said no, and then you reply and you go, oh, okay, no worries. That's not what we do with a no, guys. Like, 80% of the people that join us are going to say no. It is our job as the professional to say, would you mind me asking why it's not of interest? It's just so useful to know. And they might say something, and we've just started an initial conversation with them, and they might say something that's really obvious it's not the right time for them. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be added to my tracking system. That means absolutely they're going to be added to my tracking system, because they've given me an objection and I've had a reply. They're interested in some capacity. So I'm going to follow up with them in a month's time and see if anything's changed. Okay. So they definitely go into my tracking system. And that's why you need a tracking system, right? If you've got pen and paper and no tracking system, how are you going to track the people that say no? And they're going to be 80% of the people you convert. Someone else has just put something in here. Hold on one sec. No can mean not right now. Exactly. I'm always like, yes, it's a no. Now I'm going to see if I can like I'm literally like a squirrel trying to find a nut. I'll dig and I'll dig and I'll dig. I'm like, so do you mind me asking why? And then they might be like, I don't know. I just prefer the gym. I've got a PT. Oh, great. That's awesome. So what are you doing with your PT? Has he done you a nutrition program too? I'm digging in because I know the gym is SHIT compared to what we have to offer, right? I know even if they've got a nutrition plan from their PT, they're not going to be getting the results, because I've been a PT too, and I've written my clients' nutrition plans and they can't stick to them because they don't have the accountability we have. So I'm always going to dig in, always, questions, so that I know what's right at the root cause of that objection, so that I can overcome it. And then, yeah, if it's a no, it's not right now, and I've written month wrong, but you follow up in a month when your next group's coming up, right? So for me, I run a challenge group once a month in the same time in the month, and I run a sneak peek once a month in the same time in the month, so that then 30 days later, I've got my next group being set up. So I've got a new reason to contact them. I know you said no last time because of X, Y, Z. Is it a better time? You know, whatever it might be, if you've dug into their why and you've asked more questions, you're going to be much better received when you've had an objection, but you're still coming back to them, because you can say, I know because of you weren't keen, but I just wanted to check. Then they can't jump down your throat and go, I told you last time. Like, I rarely get that, because I've taken the time to work out why it's a no. My son is literally witching hour. I can hear him roaring with laughter next door. So who has the control? I really want you guys to ask yourselves that, because in this business, any sales business for that matter, because we are in sales, whether or not you like it, we are the professional, okay? We know the value of what this has to offer, right, guys? That's why we're here. We absolutely love what we're doing. We've seen amazing results. We're part of this incredible community that we've never seen before. We wouldn't change it for the world. But if they say no and we go, oh, okay, no worries, what are they going to think? They're going to think, well, this girl isn't really into it. She's not even going to try and ask me why, you know? So it's kind of like the strength of your conviction. And Ashley Molstad said this on a training call I watched the other week. And she said it's like you're like cat and mouse and you're trying to see who believes in themselves more than the other, right? So the person that says, no, I'm not doing this right now because of da-da-da, and I love the gym and da-da-da, the strength of their conviction on their view is stronger than the strength of your conviction on yours. So who's got the control? Number one. But also you want to maintain the control. And I really want you guys after this call to go through some conversations that you've been having, maybe ones that have been difficult and you're like, where have I lost them? Who has written more text? Who has written more text? Have you written way more text than the other person? Because if you have, I better bet that they've ghosted you, okay? Don't ever word vomit on someone. And again, we're new coaches, so that's what we do when we're newer. I certainly used to do that a lot, but now I make sure I'm trying to keep my response. So if they ask me a question, I'll answer it because that's polite. I'm not just going to ignore their question, but then I'm making sure I'm like answering it and then asking them a question, or like talking about them, asking them more questions. Okay. Because again, questions. We're on a fact finding mission. Like I'm like that squirrel with the nut, right? I want to know whether what we have to offer is going to provide them with the solution that they're looking for. And I would say 9 times out of 10, we absolutely have the solution. Struggling with their nutrition, we've got the solution. Had eating disorders, we've got the solution. Trying to lose weight, we've got the solution. Trying to gain weight, we've got the solution. Trying to bulk up, we've got the solution. You know, feeling lonely because they're a stay-at-home mum, we've got the solution. So you better bet that I'm always going to dig deep, because I know for most people, we actually have the solution. They just haven't seen it right now. And as I said just now, like, are you word vomiting on them? Just gut check. Are you? And just go and do a little audit after this. So that's that part of the call. We've got kind of 15 minutes. So what I wanted to do is, that's good. So Imogen has got a 3-fact rule. She wants to find out 3 facts about them before she invites them. And I love that. And I think that is really good. Like if we can just build a conversation without having this pressure that I need to invite them, I need to invite them, I need to invite them, like let the conversation flow. And as you get more experience, as Imogen's experiencing, as you get more experience with being a coach, you're actually going to know when to ask an invite. Okay. So I might have a list of people who are ready to invite, but I'm like deep in a conversation with someone. I'm not just going to be like, bam, invite, because it doesn't flow in the conversation. So what we're going to do now for the next kind of 10-15 minutes is we are going to go and follow that process that I've just explained. Okay. And some of you guys have done this before with me, but I just think it's really good to sediment that. And, you know, if you've already done that part of your business today, maybe just go in and check some of your gut, check some of your conversations. So for the next 5 minutes, we're just going to spend 5 minutes. It's not much time. You're going to go and find an account that's your kind of person, and you're going to go and build your connections. Okay. If you've done that already, then maybe you're going to go and start new conversations with people who've perhaps been watching your stories or have liked your recent post or have followed you, based on what we just discussed, i.e. how would you like to be contacted? If somebody contacted you with your constructive initial conversation, would you reply to them? And if you wouldn't, what would prompt you to reply? And I want you to do a little self-audit on your process if indeed you need to change it. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes. Okay, 3, 2, 1, off we go. Okay, got a minute and a half, guys. Okay, we'll stop there. Now, what you're going to do is the second part, which some of you might have already done because you might have already done your connections for the day. But if you've already done that, the next one, which I'm just going to talk about, then you could go in and do some of your invites. But the next bit, we are just going to do the initial reach out, i.e. the initial first message to people that have liked or followed or commented or followed us, okay, based on what you feel you would connect with in terms of a response. Like, what would you respond to? How would you like to be connected with? Because your tribe are going to respond to how you would respond, okay? So if you want my initial message, just drop me a message in the chat and I'll put it in there. Okay, so 5 minutes, off we go. Okay, 2 more minutes. Okay, we'll stop there. And now what we're going to do is hopefully you guys have got a clear-cut list of people that you want to invite. And that's where obviously the process that I've just explained comes in, because you would technically have a list of people that you are going to invite. And again, make sure that if you're inviting, that you've spoken about what you're inviting to in your stories, or you've got the call to action visuals up. So you could do that in the 5-minute block as well. Like, just have a look at your stories, make sure you've got that up there. And again, if you haven't got that up there and you haven't made visuals in Canva for your next group that's coming up, or your sneak peek, maybe you can use this next 5 minutes to start making those, because I can promise you that without that kind of construct, again, the invite, it's just not going to be well received. So you're either going to invite to your bootcamp or your sneak peek. If you want an example invite, just drop me a message in the comments and I'll put mine in there. But hopefully you guys have got one that you're using. And I'm going to hit start on the timer. Okay, I'm going to give you guys another 30 seconds. Okay, so we'll stop there. And hopefully that has been a really useful kind of time efficient period of time. And hopefully it's helped some of you guys see that doing these tasks, like we were just doing 5-minute blocks. Imagine if you were just doing those for 10-minute blocks. And then really, if we'd have done all of that, the only other thing that you would be needing to do from the tracker that is really fundamental and important in your business is doing follow-ups. Okay, so again, that's the reason why you need a tracker, so that you've got those follow-ups in the diary, and you know, like, you know, based on a conversation, if you've initially invited them, you've had a conversation, you're probably going to follow up the next day. You know, if you've sent a message and you haven't had a reply, you're probably going to wait a week to kind of reconnect. So hopefully that's been really helpful. I wanted to just briefly, before we go, give Jo the opportunity to just explain the tracking system that she's using, because I know the guys were just yeah, kind of interested. There we go.
Yeah, hi. So it's literally it's called HubSpot, and I found it just Googling really, and the lady that's building my website for me, she recommended it. She uses it, and it's really, really simple. And when you download the free version, you have like a few 2-minute video tutorials of how to set it up. So it's really easy. So you literally just put all your contacts in there. And then you can link it to your inbox as well in your Outlook or Hotmail, whatever. And every time you send a email to a client and they reply, it automatically ports in there. So you've got like a running total on it's like a CRM system basically. So you can just see everything that's going on. You can also put your email templates in there from Canva. So if you want to sort of do an email like I do a weekly newsletter. So if you want to send that out, you can do that from there as well. And you can also set a task for when you need to follow them up. So you set the task with date, and then when you put it on in the morning, it will bring it up your list of your tasks for that day, and it will say, call this person back, do this, do that, and you literally just work through them and tick them off So
That's awesome.
it's just so easy. It's the sort of thing I've always used in my corporate jobs, and it just keeps everything, you know if you've missed a task, and then if you miss one, the next day it will say this is overdue, you should have followed it up yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's just really, really simple. It's just like a very simple system. Yeah.
It sounds like what we used in the property industry called Weepit, and it would have a dashboard.
Yeah.
But because I'm a bit renegade, I never used the dashboard. I would always use my own way of following up, which is why I use things like Streak. But yeah, I think, what was it called again, Joe? Just as a reminder.
HubSpot. HUB Spot. Yeah.
HubSpot. Okay, perfect. So guys,
Just
have a look
Google
at
it and then download the free one.
Yeah. Streak is good. I think most of you guys know about that. And also some people have been using Teamsy. I've had mixed feedback on that, to be honest. I think it sounds a little bit more complicated than it needs to be based on the feedback I've had. So I don't want to keep you for ages.